Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk Venture, a podcast dedicated to travelers, backpackers, and explorers with thousands of stories. My name is Tony, and today I'm talking venture with Olivia, an American girl who's doing woofing in the French mountain of Les Hautes Alpes. Together, we're doing a retrospective of her 9 months spent in France. Stories of adventures, and most important things of all, French cheese. So without further ado, let's talk venture with Olivia. All right. Here we go. Hi, Olivia.
Hi, Tony.
So can you introduce yourself just briefly?
Sure, yeah. My name is Olivia. I'm 24 years old. I moved to France last, September, where I was working in Toulouse as an English teacher. And right now I've been doing work away on a farm in the Alps near Annecy.
Yeah, Annecy. So we are near Annecy.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
Okay.
Col de Tamier.
So I think my first question, I have thought a lot about, what will be the first question? Why France?
Why France? Well, in middle school I had the choice between French and Spanish.
Yeah.
I couldn't roll my R's. I can't speak Spanish, so I chose French. And it stuck. I really have loved learning the language, and the culture suits me quite well. Just the attention to aesthetic and how elegant I think things can be here, and the way that I've noticed that people in France tend to take the time to really appreciate les petits kiffs, the little pleasures in life, yeah, such as cheese. And 35-hour work weeks and plenty of vacation time.
Does it exist in Spain?
In Spain, they do work 40 hours in Spain, and they do have cheese, but it's not as good as here.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I know the cheese is really French and also Swedish.
Okay.
We have to accord it to them.
Yeah,
It's them who have the la fondue and the la raclette. So.
that's true. Although I have had some very good fondue and raclette here in France as well.
But actually, we are here. I don't know if you know that in the east of France is the area of cheese.
Yes.
And the area of the raclette.
I've noticed people here are very proud. In Savoie, Haute Savoie, I'm told again and again and again, this is the land of cheese. This is the cheese region. And I've noticed that I've eaten more cheese during my time here than all the rest of my time in France together. Yeah. I think I probably consume about half a kilo of ton a week.
Oh, come on. No.
We eat sometimes for dinner. A lot of times we'll just have a big thick slice of bread and cheese and salad.
Yeah, okay, that's
great. I'm not complaining. Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Favorite one. I had a really good. Let's see. Okay, so there's a goat farmer who's a good friend of the family who makes really good fresh goat cheese. And so I went over one morning and helped him milk the goats at 5 a.m. and I had some fresh goat cheese, and that was delicious. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I also do like Beaufort.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I found that last weekend when I went to the cheese shop. And I said, I need a cheese that's good for hiking, that'll qui tient bien, that'll hold well. Yeah. And she said, this one. And it was delicious. Yeah.
Have you tried le Morbier?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had some this morning.
It's my mom's favorite, this one.
Yeah, it kind of stays though. Like if you're going to eat a piece of Morbier, you have to know it'll be with you for the next couple hours. The taste, it rests in your mouth.
And it will only last a few hours.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so you said you've stayed in France for 1 year in full?
About 9 months, yeah.
About 9 months?
Yeah. I guess if you added all of my different trips to France together, because I've worked on another farm in the Alps, and I spent a semester as a student in Toulouse, and then this time here as well. Okay. So if you add it all up, it would be maybe about a year. Mm-hmm.
If about all this year, if you could pick like 3 big memories of what happened, what would it be? 3. It's okay. I don't ask you one. I ask you 3.
3. Gosh. Okay. Let's see. In France.
Yeah.
Things that
oh no! In your whole year.
During my travels, during my time here. Let's see. I would say. Hi, Nicola. Gosh, it's hard to pick.
You want to pick 5?
What really stands out? So I guess. Oh, okay. So there is one day in particular. It was my birthday this past April, and my roommate and I had been planning on going on a hike in the Pyrenees. And I should have known, it rains every single year on my birthday, so I should have known, we woke up and it was gray, and, I decided it's better than just staying in Toulouse and doing nothing, and so we decided to get ourselves out to the Pyrenees, and we decided to just go anyways. And so I was going with really low expectations of this very soggy kind of gray hike. But so we get to the little village, and it's absolutely pouring, and we had to find this bus that was going to take us to another little village. Everybody said, like, oh, the bus doesn't run on the weekends. We always forget, in France on Sundays nothing is open.
Oh, every hour.
Well, not in little villages.
Okay,
in the Pyrenees.
Indeed.
I always forget about that. And so we somehow managed to find this bus, and the bus driver, he's playing samba music. Yeah, and so like 80s Brazilian music, and so we're driving through the Pyrenees in this bus that's playing samba that we managed to somehow find, and he's greeting every single person who's getting onto the bus. He really knew everybody there. And we got to the little tiny town that we decided to start our hike from, and it stopped raining, and all of the flowers were blooming in the Pyrenees. This is like the very first weekend that the flowers were blooming, and there was nobody else out, and so we just wandered around past castles, and it was just a really incredible hike. And we decided that we were running a little bit late, and we really wanted to catch the last train because we weren't planning on spending the night in the Pyrenees. I just kind of wanted to sleep in my own bed. And we're looking at Google Maps, and we're thinking, we were like going to miss it by 10 minutes. And so I'm thinking, like, Julieta, do you want to try to do this? Are we going to run for it? So we bushwhacked. I just decided to like kind of go head straight for wherever the train station was. And we're looking at our watches, and we're along this auto route, and we're kind of having this debate, like, should we hitchhike or not? And that was like the one thing I promised my mom I would not do in Europe. I was like, I won't hitchhike. But we were like, it was getting really close. And so Julieta's like, fine. She throws out her thumb. I kid you not, this car screeches over, this van pulls over right in front of us. And I was like, that was almost too fast. So we get in, and it's this guy from Portugal. And he just drives us to the train station. He's like, make sure that you tell all of your friends that you met this really nice guy from Portugal who made sure that you made it to your train. And there we were, just in time. It was, I think we were 3 minutes before the depart, and we were exhausted. I think I slept on the ride back, but we made it. We ran, we bushwhacked, we hitchhiked, but we made it to the train. I think for me that was a really great day, just because one, I was going with very low expectations. I was imagining like a wet, soggy hike. Right. And two, just because there was so much unexpected adventure and things that I kind of had to figure out, and on s'est débrouillé. Yeah.
Everything worked out.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, it all worked out.
So big up for the Portuguese guy if you are listening to this.
Yeah. Now everybody really will.
If you remember 2 girls who were
hitchhiking.
It's a little bit hard to say. Hitchhiking. Across the...
Doing stuff.
Hi, Doggy. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm thinking about the next.
Did you want me? I can say another shorter story.
Okay, you have another one?
Well, let me see if there are other big highlights.
Because this one was already pretty good.
Long,
like,
yeah.
I think, it has everything that I like about stories of traveling, like the unexpected, like I say, the big lose that turns out into really good stories.
Yeah, no, that was definitely it. I've found that it's oftentimes when there's more mishaps that I end up having better stories, and then I can tell myself when I am traveling and something goes wrong. Yeah. At least this will be a great story for later. Oh, so 2 weekends ago I went to visit a friend who lives in Potsdam, which is right next to Berlin. Yeah. So I took
you told me that.
Yeah. Oh, I have a story. So I took a BlaBlaCar from Verge, which is the nearest village to here, to Geneva. Yeah. And I realized about 30 minutes past Annecy, I do not have my passport. Yeah. And so the BlaBlaCar driver goes, I can ask some friends who might know, and it's very unclear about whether I can travel or not. But I said, you know what, I really want to see my friend Sophie. This is probably the last time I'll be able to see her for a very long time. So I said, I'm just going to try. So I got to the Geneva airport. She drops me off, and I went to the EasyJet desk and kind of explained, and he printed me off these tickets, and he said, well, you can give it a try. So I walked through security. They didn't ask for any identification. I just walked through security. I was 4 hours early to the airport. My flight was not for 4 more hours, and it's pretty easy to get to the Geneva town center. So I thought, I'd rather be stressed out walking around Geneva than stressed out sitting in the airport.
Yeah.
So I decided to risk it, and I exited, and I nervously walked around Geneva for a while, kind of tried to appreciate the city there. I would say it's like a French city times 2 in terms of size, and then half as much charm. It's a little bit less charming.
Oh yeah, okay, good to know, because I was wondering if it was worth it to go explore Geneva or not, but that's
if it's convenient, like if you happen to have 4 hours to kill in the airport, yeah, definitely go. It's nicer than the airport.
Okay.
So then anyway, so I finally come back from the town center, and I went through security a second time, and they stopped me, and I got really nervous because the other piece is I had half a kilo of the cheese that's made by the monks next door. The milk farm that I'm on right now, we sell our milk to the monks next door, and I thought I have to bring cheese to Sophie, so I was smuggling half a kilo of cheese across international borders. But it turns out I had also forgotten my pocket knife in my backpack, so they took that out. Yeah. So I went through security a second time without a passport, and then I know I'm in the middle.
You want to participate into the interview?
Do you want to answer a question? Okay, I'm trying to focus now. And so anyway, so I get to Berlin, and my friend Sophie, her boyfriend happens to be a police officer who has worked in the airport. So I explained the situation to him. And also the other thing I forgot to mention is my temporary work visa had expired the day after. So I'm here, and it's unclear whether I had to leave the Schengen zone to activate my tourist visa or not. So I'm traveling without a passport with a potentially expired visa. So I figured, I'm here. I'm just gonna try to get. If I got myself here, if I crossed 3 countries, if I went through 3 countries without a passport, I can probably get back. And that's at any rate when I called the embassy, that's what they said. They're like, well, if you got here, why are you so worried? I thought that's not a very helpful answer, embassy. I went on back. There's no problem. I was incredibly stressed out, but I definitely profité de l'espace Schengen. I definitely took advantage of all of the
all the non-restriction and all.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't recommend it, but know that it can be done.
I have the same story in China. Okay, I have many stories in China.
Yeah.
But I have this one where a lot of time, usually like China, is like FBI everywhere.
Really?
Kind of, you are watched out all the time. You are controlled.
Yeah.
Every time at the border, at the entry of the train. But for some reason, in some train station, sometimes I just show my tickets, don't show my passport, and just say, and no one's controlling me, no one stops me. Like, okay, that works.
There you go. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a good story in Berlin. How would you describe Berlin?
Very industrial.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It didn't. It reminded me more of American cities than I was thinking, just in terms of the size. And so, of course, like Toulouse is my point of reference. So a lot of the cities here I'm comparing to Toulouse. And so just because so much of it was destroyed during the war and was rebuilt, it has a much more modern feel than a lot of the French cities that I'm used to.
Was it Americans who rebuilt the buildings there or not?
Tell you, I actually don't know who did a lot of the rebuilding. Do you know, Hillary? Who rebuilt Berlin after? Was it the Americans?
It was split into 4 sections, right?
Yeah.
Americans.
No, in two sections. Like
USSR.
FRA and SRA, I think.
Yeah.
France had a little chunk too.
USSR, but wasn't it?
Yeah, there was
French
English,
center,
French,
Yeah.
American,
British.
and
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah.
Like at Checkpoint
And
Charlie.
Russian?
yeah, that was
USS.
between the Russian and the French.
and the
No, sorry,
French.
Russian and American.
Mm.
Okay.
But
There's
France
also
did
the
have a
French
chunk.
section, I think.
Yeah,
And the British. I think they all had a little bit.
Okay.
yeah. I don't think it was the Americans that rebuilt most of the city
Sure.
though. So when you think of Berlin, what comes to mind, or what are your first associations?
So what I know about Berlin, okay, I don't know a lot of things about German culture and German language, really. I just have the cliche that you know. But
Well, no. What are the cliches that you have?
drunk people a little bit too following the rules,
Very strict.
very strict about the rules, and like extreme in terms of you are rather extreme in your walk or extreme in your punk attitude. I would say that. So that's why I know that in Berlin you have a lot of underground culture of rave party, rock and electro music, I think, and a lot of underground art industry, if I can say that.
Yeah.
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 So a lot of things that happens in Berlin are happening underground and not showing from everyone. So that's why that's the main cliche that I have for the Berlin people. But following the next question, what was the big cliche that you have that you had about French people that you don't have anymore, or which one are true, which one are fake?
Let's see. So I think because the first time that I lived here, I was living with a host family, and so it's pretty easy to see. It was a lot of stereotypes were dispelled, or I think in general I just learned that making generalizations about large groups of people usually doesn't get you very far, because when I think of French people, I think of individuals now. I think of all the people that I've met during my travels. But I think that one of the biggest things that I hear from that a lot of my Anglophone friends in Toulouse are is the idea of les Français sont froids. The French aren't very friendly. And that has not been my experience here at all. There was, I think after I'd met somebody once or twice, and after one or two meetings, she'd invited me to go sailing with her and her cousins this summer on a boat in Bretagne. Yeah, departing from Saint-Malo. I think I mentioned that one to you. Yeah. And I was thinking, that's for me, that's very friendly. That's incredibly welcoming. I think that speaking French goes a very long way in terms of being able to integrate into French society and just being able to reach out and reciprocate when people are able to reach out to you. So I think that in terms of the perception that French people aren't friendly or welcoming, I think part of that is linguistic. And then the other part is that, especially when coming from America, Americans are incredibly outgoing and they share a lot. And I've really seen that in France. People take the time to kind of ease into a relationship and to kind of build trust before sharing their whole life stories.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I think for me, I really do appreciate kind of that slower process of getting to know somebody, and kind of once you're in that intimate circle, I've seen that that's something that's you're there for good, you know. I think in America we can have people that kind of come in and out of circles very easily. We're used to a lot of transience, and so it means it's very easy to meet people, but you're not always certain how much things stick. Whereas here, so I had a friend who I'd made 3 years ago when I was a student in Toulouse, and the week before I left, we really wanted to see each other, so she took a 3-hour drive out to see me in Toulouse so we could have lunch together. And just seeing that kind of people are really willing to make sacrifices, and because we had a strong relationship before, we hadn't really talked that much in the 3 years, but we were friends, and that was something that was really valued. And so I've definitely come to see it. I do not see the French as being cold and unwelcoming.
But it takes just a little bit more time to.
It's a different way of getting to know people. It's a different way of forming relationships, and I think when it's framed as unfriendliness, there's a lot that is missed there. Other stereotypes. Lots of cheese, it's true. Lots of baguettes, yes, also true. After my being a student here, I went to see my dentist in in America, and my jaw was clicking, and he asked me, like, have you been, eating a lot of chewy foods recently because you've strained your muscle? And I was thinking, I was like, I was eating a lot of baguette. Yep. So that's very much true. I definitely enjoyed participating in that custom.
So you think you have more muscle?
I've definitely built it up. Now I can easily go through half a baguette in a day. Yeah.
You think you will miss the baguette once you will go back to...
so much. Yeah, so much. I'm going to have to figure out how to make them at home or something. I mean, we have baguettes, but they're sad.
Yeah, and I think it's this kind of secret recipe between all the bakers in France.
Really?
Yeah, not a lot of people in France know
how to make baguettes.
Yeah.
When you can walk down the street and get one from the boulangerie for €1, there's no reason to spend hours and hours making a sad lump of dough.
And it takes really, it's a long process of
to knead the dough.
Okay, to knead the dough. Dough, it's the...
La pâte.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you ever try
learn French, learn English with the podcast.
Would you ever try to make a baguette or?
My mom used to there was a time in France someone invented a machine where you put all the ingredients inside, and there was the mechanical stuff that was automatically doing the baguette, and so there was a lot of enquête.
What's the whole sentence?
Clue. Journalist. Journalists.
Yeah, a lot of journalists.
Doing
investigations.
Investigation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Investigation about which one is better, the bread, the baker bread, the machine breads. Definitely the baker bread, because if you, for the people who are traveling in France, a good baguette if you open it and the white la mie inside has a lot of holes inside. That's the good baguette.
Yeah, I don't know. I like mine a little bit denser, but...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like it when it's crusty on the outside and chewy on the inside. And
not
too thin. I like it when it's a little bit thicker.
Yeah,
the really thin, tiny ones.
But the bigger holes you have inside, the better usually it's...
But then all of your confiture drops through. That's the other problem. Okay. So, talking about missing stuff, what do you miss the most about USA, and you expect the most to have back? Yeah, peanut butter is one of the biggest ones. It's the first one that comes to mind. Maybe because we were just talking about baguettes and toast and everything. It's true you can find peanut butter in France, but it's just something Americans traveling like to complain about, is that it's hard to find peanut butter here. So other things in the US that I do miss.
I have the same answer every time I was in China, and people ask me, what do you miss the most? Cheese.
Yeah, yep. Oh, I'm going to miss the cheese if I'm here. I think it's easier for me to think of things in France that I'm going to miss than going back to the US. I do say I do miss, I do find the language barrier here hard. And just being able to... And there's just so much cultural knowledge that I don't have here. So if people talking about movies that they all watched or TV shows that they all watched as kids, I don't know what those are.
Oh yeah.
And so that's just really hard. And I think I am excited to go back and just be able to. So for instance, I met the American couple last night, and we just ended up chatting about Boston sports teams because I'm from Boston. They went to university in Boston, and being able to kind of make references, we know the different streets and things like that. I just don't have that familiarity here in France. So I miss, I guess, feeling at home.
Yeah. Okay.
in that way. I miss having a car too, I will say. As much as I love biking everywhere, there's something about driving down the highway in the US and playing music and just being able to go and having that freedom.
But I would say your surrounding here for biking is the worst place to bike because of the hike.
Wait, the worst place?
No, the going up.
Oh, it's
road,
very steep.
Steeps. The what I was looking for.
Well, the Tour de France actually passes by here.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it goes right through here quite often.
When is it? I forgot where.
Oh, I don't know when, but I think a year or two ago it was just done in Albertville is the town on the other side. So there's a reason they choose to go through here, and also because I live on a col. It means that I always have to end by biking up home. Yeah, the uphill's always at the end.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
But it keeps you happy. Let's keep in mind the good situation.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. No, I do love living here in this little farm.
This is really fun. What were we doing here?
What am I doing here? Yeah. So I'm mostly helping with farm work.
Yeah.
And then with the kids here too. So my days generally look like in the morning I get up at around 6. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean it's nothing compared to the goat farmer who he hand milks all his goats, and he starts at 5:30. Yeah, so I helped one day, but I could not do that regularly. Yeah, so here it starts at 6. I have a quick cup of coffee before I head out to the barn. And we start milking. We milk for maybe about 45 minutes if everything goes well. Turn the cows out to pasture. And then I might help with a project in the garden, something like that. Or whatever else needs to be done, chopping wood and such.
Wood.
Yeah. I mean, you see there's an axe right there.
Yeah, I know. I noticed.
We don't use the axe,
just
we
like,
also use it.
Like if one day you are harvested in the street, is it a good word? Harvested?
Harvesting?
Like someone attacks you in the street, you can say, I know how to use an axe!
Oh, that's true. Yeah, an axe. Yeah, you're right. I do know. Yes, this is true. And then I might just hang out with the kids. I also really do like helping cook dinner and things like that. I made homemade ravioli the other day, just because I have a lot of free time here too.
Yeah. I have this cliche like, are Americans cooking a lot or not?
So I guess when you're asking a question about Americans, just because that applies to so many people.
Yeah.
So if you're just looking at purely like percentage-wise of Americans, very few Americans cook. Very few Americans eat at home. Most meals in the U.S. are eaten outside the house. But then if you're looking at different segments of the population, that really changes. So I would say I rarely eat out. I cook almost most of my meals at home. And I probably cook a bit more than most of my friends because I really enjoy it. But I'd say most of my friends do a fair amount of cooking.
Yeah. Because I see like it's a real cliche that you have dinners everywhere in USA and everyone eats at dinners.
Yeah, that's the perception, and it is based in reality. I think I read a statistic. It's like 30% of meals in the U.S. are eaten in the car.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there were some weeks where I'd find myself eating a burrito while driving to work. Yeah. It is not an easy thing to do. There is some skill that's required. But yeah, we do not pause and take time to eat and enjoy eating in the way that I see here. Yeah, we'll take at the farm here. We'll take an hour or so for lunch, and then oftentimes you just you have a nap afterwards, so you can really fully appreciate what you ate.
Nap after lunch is like the best thing ever.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
it's nice just to slow down and not have to think like, oh, I have to get back to work.
But you know, like you have real stories, like scientist studies, studies like showing that a good nap after a lunch is way more efficient.
Either one.
Okay, efficient than a coffee cup.
Oh, yeah, in terms of keeping you up.
Efficient.
Well, also there's, in terms of your natural circadian rhythms, they've shown that there is a dip in terms of alertness during the afternoon, so it's really normal. I mean, that's what you see in a lot of different, across the world, a lot of different places where you take a nap around that, you just slow down around that time of day. I
took this habit in China, like you know, in my whole studies, everyone like you have to be efficient. If you are piqué du nez, it's the French expression for piqué du nez. You know that?
Mm-mm.
Like it's from the airplane army terms.
Yeah.
Like a plane has a nose, and so when you are going down really fast,
it's called a nosedive.
A nosedive. So it's the same terms for someone who who, if I can describe it, so you are sitting and then your face just drop in front of you, and you fall asleep with your nose.
Yeah, you're nodding
down.
off. Oh, I like that nosedive.
Piqué du nez.
Et voilà.
So, and yes, during all my studies, everyone told me, drink coffee, don't sleep in your classes, it's impolite. Just like, let me just sleep 5 minutes and I will be so more focused all the rest of the afternoon, but no.
Yeah, well, usually in the US I'm too busy. I do not like taking naps because I just am so busy all the time and I'm going. And it's hard to slow down in the middle of the day, but just because the pace of life here is a lot slower and I don't have a million things going on, I'm able to just stop and pause and maybe read a book or maybe take a little bit of, have some shut-eye.
You think you will miss that in USA?
Yes.
Like the slow downness. Is it good English?
The slowness?
Slowness.
Yeah, the pace of life. Yeah, I don't know how, working 40 hours a week will be a lot. And just the number of things and commitments and responsibilities that I've had previously in the US, I realized was too fast. And now that I've really come to learn how to just have free time and enjoy it, rather than feeling the need to pack every single second with something, I'm hoping to try to preserve what I've learned here, and be able to kind of keep on living at a slower pace.
Because you know already what you are going to do once you go back to USA, like the day next tomorrow, the day after tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, is it really? It's on the 10th. It's on the 10th.
Oh, it's on the 10th.
So I go to Iceland first. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I still have a little bit more time.
Okay.
A little bit more time, but it still is coming up so soon. Yeah, I leave France at any rate on Monday. Gosh. Yes. So when I go back to the U.S., I'll be going back to the job I had right before I left here, which was doing research in a laboratory in the psychiatry department of my university. And we study eating disorders and obesity.
Okay. So that's why you know how to cook.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. And also why I do really care about the fact that in the U.S. we have a disordered relationship with food quite often.
I have a question. Like I was thinking about that. So we are both vegetarian, right?
So ever since coming to the farm, I haven't really been very vegetarian.
Yeah, that's.
But yes, for the most part.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, if you manage, like, kind of convince them to cook more vegetables, or I think they are already cooking a lot.
So
of vegetables.
Hillary is vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
So that's but Nicholas is not. So it's not that. So in France, I think I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, it's hard to be vegetarian," and I hear, like, because it's a lack of vegetarian options. No, it's that there's such good meat that I found here. So one day, Nicolas said for lunch, like, hey, do you want to make some steak tartare? I'm not going to say no to, like, a homemade steak tartare with, it was so good. We had this really good it was 2-year aged Parmesan on top from their friends who had just been to Italy. Oh, it was so good. So I realize that when I say things like this, I don't sound like a vegetarian.
You are doing kind of promotion. Don't be vegetarian. Eat meat.
Yeah.
No, okay.
But I do care about. So the reason that I'm vegetarian is mainly for environmental reasons.
Yeah.
And so in terms of eating a bit of meat once in a while that is locally and sustainably raised, for me that's fine.
Because I know, like me, I have the same conviction.
Yeah.
Reasons why I'm vegetarian. Like I know that the cow and farm industry use a lot of resources that could be turned out into growing vegetables and using waters and everything. But I cannot overpass my addiction to cheese.
Oh, so in terms of thinking about being vegan, did you consider being vegan?
No, not vegan, but I know that if I would go fully in my conviction, like cheese is generated by cows, and so why not eating cows and eating cheese instead?
Yeah.
So, but cheese I cannot. It's too much addiction. Like.
Yeah. Well, it's actually though, because in terms of if you think about the amount of energy that needs to go into producing meat, it is true that meat is a lot less efficient than plants, for instance. And I don't know where cheese fits into the equation because the cow keeps on producing cheese. You know, like if you're eating a hamburger, that's kind of the end of the path. And in terms of like, the amount of water, electricity, and such that went into making that hamburger, you lose a lot of energy compared to the same number of calories from plants. But yeah, I don't know for cheese how that works, but it's true.
Let's just keep the secrets about cheese.
Yeah.
Keep on eating cheese because French cheese is so good.
Also, that's the other thing is if you're eating it from sources like on this farm where I'm looking at the cows as we speak, and it's not. I think that the impact on the environment here.
Yeah.
It's monks who make it using traditional methods as well. I don't think the impact on the environment is too terrible.
Okay.
That's what I tell myself.
Okay, that's good with it. What's the worst cheese in USA?
Oh, I was talking about this the other day. So in St. Louis, there's the city where I was living before here, which is right in the middle of the country, in a state called Missouri. It's like really smack dab in the center of the
Missouri.
Yeah, wait, just say. Yeah, it's.
Hi, Missouri.
Yeah. There's a cheese called Provel.
Okay.
Provel, which is it's like provolone but
Frank,
plastic.
Frank Provel.
No, just Provel.
You don't have the jokes. Okay, it's for French people who got this joke. It's a famous hair cutter.
Oh.
Frank Provel.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that there was.
Okay, drops of jokes. Okay, go back to.
It's like so. Provel is like provolone but plastic. Basically, and it's put on pizza quite often to ruin it, I guess. So that's pretty terrible. I don't really ever eat it. Yeah, that one's up there.
Like I know this. Like you have this weird cheese in a bomb, like a painting.
In a can. Cheese Whiz. I can't say I've ever actually had that. It's called Cheese Whiz. Yeah, it comes out like whipped cream.
Yeah.
It's not really cheese. I hesitate to call that cheese though because it's called like if you look on the bottle, it says cheese flavored product. It doesn't say cheese. They can't call it cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks God. It cannot be called cheese. What are your next plans of traveling, if you already have plans, or your dream destination of traveling?
So the next trip that I'll be doing is to Iceland on Monday.
Oh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. My friend is flying out from the U.S. And we're renting a camping car, and we're just gonna basically drive to the foot of mountains and hike up, and then come back down and keep on driving. So I've wanted to go to Iceland for a very long time, and I'm really looking forward to that. It'll kind of be the last hurrah before I go back to the U.S.
Don't miss your flight because I missed my flight going back from China to pass to Hong Kong before going to France. That was terrible. But I will tell that story another time. Yeah. Maybe offline because I will. It's a really, really long story. But okay, Iceland. And I heard so many good things about Iceland, like the whale there, the volcanoes area and everything.
Yeah. I'm going for the green grass and the waterfalls.
Oh,
yeah.
It sounds good. Green grass.
Yeah, green grass.
Sounds really good. So is it your dream destination, Iceland?
It's been on my list for a very long time. Okay. I think there was a movie that I watched a while back called The Secret Life of Walter. Yeah, I didn't. The movie was fine, but I was just so struck by the landscape and everything. And every time I see photos in National Geographic or things like that of Iceland, it just seems to have this beauty that stands out from a lot of the other landscapes that I've seen. And yeah, it's a destination I've been saying for a very long time. I have to go to Iceland. And now I do finally get to go.
Are you doing skateboarding?
No, I'm not. I'm not reliving the entire Walter Mitty.
Yeah, but it would be so cool to do skateboarding then.
I'd take off half my skin in the process. So I prefer to leave Iceland
You just have to wear protections to do that.
I'd have to like wrap myself in bubble wrap
and then kind of stabilize yourself while you are stuck in the bubble wrap.
Yeah, I think I'll stick to my 2 feet and getting up and down the mountains.
Okay. What's on your list? Destination?
So that's the other part is I need to figure out how to pronounce all the names in Icelandic.
Yeah.
So we're going to a national park. Skandinavia is approximately the best approximation that I can do right now.
Okay.
It's in the southern part of Iceland. It's not too far from Reykjavik.
Okay.
And then we need to figure out specific hikes when we get there, but I think we'll have plenty of time to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I said I want to see waterfalls and beaches as well. I would love to see they have black volcanic beaches.
Yeah.
It's not the season for the northern lights.
Oh.
Which is really a shame. But it means I might just have to go back.
But I just heard that. How do you pronounce that?
The northern lights.
No, thank you. Northern light.
What is it in French? Les aurores.
Les aurores boréales.
Boréales.
Ouais. Back to English. I had a friend who told me that it was really, really difficult to see the northern light by your own eyes. It's strangely appears better on your smartphone, on your camera than on your own eyes.
Oh, that sounds so lame.
Yeah, but I don't know why. It's maybe something like with the electromagnetic
with the
stuff.
lenses. Yeah. Well, it's always. I mean, that happens to me too. Whenever I've tried to take a photo of a huge moon, and then I take it with my phone and it looks teeny tiny.
Yeah.
I think there's something about the way that cameras work. So, yeah. Have you been wanting to go to Iceland for a while as well?
So
I can hear it.
I was planning to go to Iceland during my summer, and then I missed.
The plane.
So I was planning to go to Iceland to try to do woofing maybe.
Oh,
and then I already told you that, but I look on the airplane tickets and everything, and for some reason I don't know why I confused Iceland with Norway.
Yeah.
But I haven't bought any tickets. It's
Okay,
just like I looked for woofing farm in Norway.
Oh, okay.
I looked for
honestly, it's
plane
not a
ticket
terrible
in
mix-up.
Norway.
I think woofing in Norway could be really nice.
Yeah,
too.
I know, but it's just like
It's not Iceland.
I don't know why I just.
So two different countries.
Yeah, it's just maybe it's like. Okay, not even the pronunciation is the same, but just like I don't know why. Sometimes my brain just confuses two things.
Well, they are both in Scandinavia. It's different
Yes.
than mixing up like Iceland and I don't know Greece or something.
Yeah. And so, like you told me about your list of country destinations. So what are other countries that you would like to visit?
That I really want to visit.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was recently talking to somebody who taught English in Thailand, and just hearing about what that was like, and just wanting to see something completely different. I've kind of gotten used to Western Europe, and it's still, I would say, it's somewhat similar to American culture, but just really being in a place where I'm a foreigner.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no blending in.
Where everyone is taking pictures of me.
Yeah. Also, I do love a good pad thai. Or I don't really know what real pad thai is like.
What is pad thai?
It's a noodle dish, kind of a spicy-ish, creamy noodle dish. I don't know, it might just be an Americanized version of a Thai dish, but...
Oh, maybe not, but I don't know that much about Thai food. I know a lot about Vietnamese and Cambodian food because my parents does that. Chinese food a little bit, but Thai food is... it's because in my family, like, no one eats spicy food, so that's
really?
why we have a kind of... like cliche of we are like maybe the only Asian family who doesn't who cannot bear if I can say that bear with spice.
Okay, because a lot of Asian cuisines there's a lot of different peppers and everything.
China, it was a nightmare for me.
Really? Because my experience with Chinese food, that's the least spicy of all the different cuisines. Like I went to my roommate in the U.S. was Korean American, and so for her birthday.
It's Korean. It's okay. So if you want to know the spiciest food in Asia, it's North Korea. South Korea.
Yep, that's
and the Sichuan province in
Yeah.
China.
Oh, Szechuan chicken. Yeah, from China. That's pretty spicy. So I took her to this restaurant in the U.S. and she was like, "Oh, all of this is like practically sweet. This is for the Americans. This isn't really for Koreans." And I was like sitting over there crying because it was so spicy.
With your nose
Yeah, my
bleeding.
nose was running. I was bright red, and she was like, "Oh, this isn't spicy enough." Yeah. Yep.
Do you mind if I add some spice inside? Yes, I mind.
Yeah. That happened to me in Potsdam next to Berlin. Sophie and I got sushi, to enjoy the typical German cuisine. We got avocado sushi, and so I pick up this chunk of avocado and stick it in my mouth and start crying. It was wasabi. It was not avocado. It was wasabi. It was this big. It was terrible. Yeah. But what was your first question before I started talking about spicy food?
Just like I have a similar story. Like I went to a bachelor party like 1 month ago, and at the end of the bachelor party of the guy and his future wife, we gathered together to have a big lunch at my sister's friend. No, my friend's sister. So it's
I don't know which one.
Okay, my friend is the mayor, so
Yeah.
at his big sister's.
Okay, yeah, my friend's sister's house.
My friend's big sister, whole sister, big sister's.
Sister's house.
Sister's house. She cooked a lot of big giant dinner for everyone, and she made also sushis and sushis.
Yeah.
And there was this wasabi sauce that mustard. It's mustard for people who don't know that. And so like we were testing, and at the moment we said, don't you think that the wasabi is really strong, this one? And it turns out into a kind of male competition of which one will eat the sushi with the biggest part of wasabi on it. And like, yeah, if you are a male, eat it, eat it.
Oh no, it's like I really felt like somebody had punched me in the face. That's what it felt like.
It was burning my throat so
but
hard.
it's short. It's a short burn. That's the thing. So it's really intense, but it doesn't last
but
like a pepper. It does not last.
Yeah, I know, but it depends actually of the people. Like I am a really slow eater. You know?
You said that you're really sensitive to spice.
No. Yeah, I'm sensitive to peppers. No,
Peppers, okay.
Peppers, but I'm not sensitive to mustard.
Okay.
Strangely.
That's funny.
Spice. No, what is the red stuff spice from Mexico? Piment.
Hot sauce.
It's a hot sauce.
Just hot sauce.
The fruit.
The pepper, chili pepper.
Chili pepper.
Chili
Thank you.
pepper, yeah.
Chili pepper. So I hate chili pepper. I cannot bear chili peppers, but mustard, strangely, I can. And so I don't have that much problem with wasabi, usually. But this one, for some reason, like, and I am a really slow eater, so I have to chew, and then eat a little bit and continue to chew the rest that doesn't turn into a kind of jam. So I was like eating, burning already my throat, and had to eat again and again to finish just this only one wasabi.
That sounds terrible. No, as soon as I realized what had happened, I swallowed down. Oh man.
So okay, chili pepper. The list of destinations that you would like to go?
Other destinations.
Yeah. Thailand,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually never really been to Canada.
Okay.
Even though it's right up north. I have crossed little tiny parts of it when I was in northern Minnesota, called the Boundary Waters.
Okay, can you tell me about the story of the canoe kayak?
Yeah, you remember that one. Yeah, so my parents live in a state called Minnesota, which is right along the border with Canada. And so I was on a canoe trip up there. There's all these little tiny lakes called the Boundary Waters. They're all connected. And you get to certain points if you're canoeing where the water is too shallow or too rapid, and so you actually have to carry the canoe on your head and all of your gear and everything So it's called portaging. And so I have, in fact, carried a canoe across Canada, certain tiny parts of Canada.
It's
so
so
kind
badass
of going
to say.
back and forth between the border between Canada and the US is right there. And no passport check, luckily. I don't think I had my passport that time either.
You need to have your passport to go
To go to Canada.
by road.
It's more about going back, I would think.
Ah.
Also, I've never been, so I don't really know. But I would think getting back, and it depends on where. I mean, this is like in the wilderness. They aren't dealing with too much like illegal immigration through the boundary waters. But,
is it possible for travelers who maybe are in the USA and want to just visit for one day or a week, Montreal or Toronto, just crossing and then going back to USA, or do they have to do kind of registration stuff?
No, I think it's very easy to go from the US to Canada with a US passport.
Yeah.
To get there and then get back. I do not know for other kinds of passports.
Okay.
I imagine getting back in could be a lot more complicated depending on where. But yeah, I think that's a doable day trip.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll put that on my list of things to do.
I'll maybe just checking out on Google.
Yeah. But there's Banff National Park, which looks really, really beautiful up in Canada. I would love to go hiking there.
Like I just heard that, you know, the video on Facebook, like in your field actuality. How do you say field actuality
In the newsfeed?
Newsfeed.
Mm-hmm.
They just opened a bicycle
Path.
bicycle path that going all the way crossing Canada, like from east to west.
Oh, really?
And that's like it's describing like you need 1 year to do all the trip.
You can't do that in the winter, I bet, too.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that in the winter. Huh. Okay, well, then I've just added something new to my list. Yeah, I've never really done a long-distance bike trip. I'm thinking about doing that maybe with my dad when I get back.
And now you are trained for that.
I know. I don't know how people do those long climbs. Yeah, for me, 15 minutes and my legs feel like jelly. But yeah, no, I'd love to do a long bike trip right now. I have a friend who's biking, I think, through Latvia right now. She's doing a trip through Latvia, je ne sais pas.
In France?
Estonia.
Oh, okay.
Next to Estonia.
Yeah.
And hearing her talk about that sounded really, really neat. But yeah.
But there is a road like that in Europe, like going from Portugal and crossing all Europe, going to maybe Russia or Turkey.
Yeah, that's part of. Yeah, I think she's doing part of it to go to the Russian border. Mm-hmm.
And some guys in my school took 4 months to do that.
Yeah.
It's
That's
crazy. Like.
Well, there's the guy that we met in the hostel in Lyon, who had biked from Russia.
Yeah, the Russian guy.
I think he biked from Russia to Lyon. Yep.
Oh my god. Okay, I have to do that one day. But me also, I have this dream of I love Taiwan. I have a deep love for Taiwan, and it's known that you can do all the way around Taiwan by biking.
Oh wow!
It takes like only a month, but it's okay. A month is already like quite big, but it sounds so good. Just biking on the nearby the sea.
On the coast,
on the coast,
Yeah.
all the way around.
Well, it's one of those things where it's hard to know if in theory it sounds nicer than the actual doing it. You know, I think sometimes with really, really long hikes and treks, I think moment to moment, oftentimes it's really easy to only think about just kind of, my feet hurt, or when do I get to sit down and
But
rest.
actually, it's...
but then when you take a step back, that's when I think it really becomes kind of a whole voyage and a trip and everything. And once you settle in, I've noticed that when I hike out here by myself, because that's what I do most afternoons, is the first bit I'm just thinking about, I don't know where the trail is, or I'm just kind of worried and have a lot of things on my mind, and then just kind of settle into a pattern where it's just one foot in front of the other. And so I think with biking, that might be a little bit harder, because with long hills and everything else.
I don't know, but I think it is worth to try the thing, and also like it's not a good traveling if there is not a bad situation at the moment.
That's true. Yeah, it's what makes it memorable.
Yeah. Like okay, good things too. You have other destination that you would like to go?
Quite honestly, there aren't many destinations where if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to here's a free plane ticket," that I wouldn't say no to.
Okay, if you want just to shout out so many
just
places.
to list a bunch.
Yeah.
I hope one day I would love to go to Iran. Not possible right now. Australia as well, just beaches and hiking and. Greece would be great. I recently talked to somebody who traveled and visited the islands there. South Africa. Scottish Highlands.
With beers.
Yes. Really almost anywhere. Okay. Somebody mentioned, I asked somebody the other day where they wanted to travel to, they said Mongolia. And I thought, I've never considered that. I know very little about it, but
Mongolia, it's like I think it's the poorest country in the world.
Really?
I think,
Are you sure? I think it tends to be more countries right along the equator.
Maybe.
I'd be interested in Mongolia. I'm sure that
it's easily on the top 10 of the list.
Of the
poorest of the poorest population in the world. You have, I think, 95% of the country is just grass and plain.
Oh wow! Yeah, the plains. Yeah.
Plains. Not the airplanes. And it's just landscape everywhere, and just there is only one city, which is the only city with the airport, and it's on the border of.
What is the capital of Mongolia? I'm trying to think.
I will edit the name. But
insert place where Tony shows all of his geographical knowledge.
But I met in China a girl who was passionate about Mongolia. She was she was organizing 6 month 6 month study exchange in Mongolia or maybe she already did it. I forgot, but she was planning and told me about the culture, the language. It's apparently it sounds and it's right a lot like Arabic.
Interesting, huh? Yeah. It's a similar system. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, I really know so little about it. Another destination that just came to mind. I talked to somebody who took a trip way up in Norway, in the very, very north, along a chain of islands. And if you go in the summer, you can basically bike almost all day long just because there's so much sun. The sun it barely sets.
So you are confirming me my destination in Norway at the end.
I considered doing that with my dad for a bit, so I would also add that on there.
Okay.
Do you have any that are up there that you would be dying to go to? Oh, you're so lucky to live in Europe. It's just you can just hop on a plane and you can be almost anywhere. Or anywhere in Europe, just being able to travel between countries. I've seen flights from Lyon to London for I don't know, the price of a couple coffees and things like that. I've seen €10 tickets. Yeah, through Ryanair.
Lyon, London?
I'm not sure if it's specifically. It was definitely somewhere in France to London. Maybe it was maybe Toulouse to London. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. But Lyon to London, €10 by plane. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, it's just traveling, and traveling is a lot more affordable here in Europe than in the US.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just plane ticket prices, and the fact that you have the option of trains as well.
Yeah.
Also BlaBlaCar.
And Webus.
Yes. I can't say I've actually. No, I've only taken one Webus.
The latest Webus I took was for a big weekend in Brussels. I departed from Lyon to Brussels in one weekend. It was, I think, 11 hours of night bus, so it was just.
Oh, so you really did the full experience. If you're gonna do Webus, you're gonna do the whole thing overnight.
Trying to sleep in the bus, and at the moment you just wake up and don't manage to fall asleep anymore.
Oh no, yeah, because your back is screaming in pain. Yeah.
You have the funniest bus in China. I took a night bus going from. So it was during my last road trip in China, in the Fujian province? No. Fujian? Okay, next to in the south of Sichuan, Fuzhou province, where there is Kunming. From Kunming to Yuanyang. Yuanyang is the best place to be. Like it's amazing. It's basically a UNESCO protected area, mountain cliff, covered by rice field.
Oh wow! Is this the Avatar set where Avatar was based on?
No, that's the Zhangjiajie.
Okay.
This one. It's also really, really amazing too. But what I liked more about Yuanyang, so the rice field mountain, it was so peaceful. Like there was just cows, buffaloes.
Buffalo,
Not the American buffaloes, but the cows.
Water buffalo.
Yeah, maybe water buffaloes who were walking the farms and people who were just walking slowly and you just hear the insects and the birds and the ducks who are eating insects. They use ducks to eat insects, so it's just like it was so peaceful to just hiking there between the rice field and
oh wow.
I love this destination.
And how was Brussels? Or unless were you done with talking about China?
In Brussels.
But yeah, so how was Brussels?
I loved Brussels. Actually Brussels. I wanted it to be my next destination of life when I came back from China. Like I was
to move.
Yes, because I wanted to go back to another foreign destination to walk again, and I said okay, but I miss my family and my mom and my sisters at the same time and my friends also. So I said okay, so which destination is quite international, a kind of capital where you have a lot of art, museum, cultures and live concerts and everything. And bing, I saw Brussels with a lot of beers, with a lot of museum and culture, and so I just started to look for jobs there, for looking for VIE, if you know VIE, Volontariat International en Entreprise.
Okay.
So you it's a mission of 1 year or 2 years to ended up working in the company if they think you suit the missions. It's kind of like a working experience for people who want to work in foreign countries.
It's kind of like an internship almost to test it out.
Yeah, but you are more paid and it's longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great.
It has more advantages than an internship.
Yeah.
And so I started to do interviews and everything, and just at the end I just finished in Lyon, which is I don't regret anything about Lyon, but maybe at a moment in my life I would think, okay, maybe going try Brussels at the moment. But my opinion may be disturbed about the fact that the weekend when I was there was super sunny, sunny, an amazing weather, which apparently seemed exceptional.
It's rare. Yeah.
Rare.
I realize that often determines how much I like trips. It really is weather when it comes down to it. Although I can think of, I like that museum, such. No, it really comes down to weather in terms of how much I like a place or not.
But I don't know if I would prefer a too shiny place where at the moment you just are dying because it's 40 degrees outside, or I would prefer a destination where it stays below 35 at the maximum and have a little bit more rain. I don't know. But apparently it's a real cliche that in Belgium it rains all the time.
Okay.
Apparently, yeah. Like
my only association, the first thing that comes to mind is
beer.
No, it's this movie When in Bruges.
Which one?
I wish I think it's called When in Bruges. No.
Okay.
In Bruges, something like that, which is in Belgium.
Okay.
Belgium. And it was just one of the grayest movies I've seen. It's incredibly depressing. It's a beautiful film, but incredibly depressing. I hope I got the title right. But that's my main association with them. Oh,
Okay.
and that and waffles.
And not
Belgium.
beers?
No.
Really? Like,
I mean, so I know very little about Belgium.
okay,
Other than there was
like,
one time when I was flying to Edinburgh, and I happened to sit next to there's this guy who came like running into the plane right before the doors closed, and he sat down next to me. It was like the last open seat. He's sweating and everything. I was like, "Don't forget to breathe." We ended up chatting the entire flight, and he's from Belgium, and was studying Japanese linguistics actually. So we had a really interesting conversation about that, and I did learn quite a bit about Belgium and the split between kind of French and Flemish and all that, which I found to be very interesting.
Yeah.
So it was a good plane ride.
It's like, almost like a kind of segregation that the Flemish are angry, if I can say that, but the French who doesn't do the effort of learning Flemish because they are already learning German, so it's already complicated. So I understand the 2 point of view that okay, you have to. It would be good to learn Flemish, but also German is more useful in the rest of the world than Flemish.
This is true. This is true.
Okay. We were talking about something before.
Destinations. Are you wanting to where you were moving to, and the idea of you wanted to live somewhere else?
Yeah.
And Lyon, weather. We're talking about weather.
And Brussels. So Brussels would be. I would love to try one day. But there are so many places that I would love to. Oh yeah, so we were talking about the destination that I would love to go. It's mostly cities instead of countries. Like, I would love to go to Toronto.
Okay. Why Toronto of all the places in Canada? I mean, for me, I'd love to head to Quebec.
Because I would think it would be more Canadian than Montreal. Maybe more.
But Montreal has its own, or Montreal has its own interest in that it's like really, really old France.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, so that's
kind of
why.
France frozen in the colonist era, or that's the French at any rate that's used.
And they have
I'm sure it's developed quite a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, and they have a strange accent. But to be more into the Canadian culture, I think Toronto would be a better destination than Montreal. Maybe yes, maybe not. I don't know. New Orleans,
Yeah.
New Orleans, Nouvelle-Orléans, for the jazz, for the live concert and everything. Oh my god, I would love to just visit and just walking in the street and hearing music everywhere. Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would love to go to Melbourne, but I hear many stuff about Melbourne. Like, I hear good things about population, and in my big surprise, people told me that in Melbourne the weather is terrible, like horrible.
Like really, really cold, really hot, rainy. What kind of terrible
rainy,
are we talking? Rainy. Okay.
Yes. Maybe it's fake. Maybe it's true, but I don't know. Like,
something they come
if people if comments exist on this thing, I don't know yet.
Please TripAdvisor has any
please
review the
tell us
entire
if
city,
it's true that in Melbourne it rains a lot or not. I would love to go back to Taiwan. I love Taiwan so much.
Yeah, what about it for you? Did you love it? It sounds like for you that was really, really something that
I think it's okay, so to describe Taiwan the best, it's the kind of the best of both worlds between China and Japan. Like, you take all the politeness, the calm, the rich heritage of culture and stories of Japan, and you mixed it with the openness, the friendliness, and the open-mindedness of Chinese people, and you have Taiwan with great destinations. It's not too big, so you can travel really easily in Taiwan. In Taiwan. People are so friendly there. Like, I have this image of me arriving in Taipei, going to the road station to catch a bus. So I arrived in front of the information panel, and I'm just here for 5 seconds, and already two Taiwanese people coming to me and say, "Hey, you need help?" Like, it would never it would never happen in Paris. Definitely in Paris. That
happened to me all the time in Morocco, in Fes.
Yeah.
But that was being her. It was. It was a very aggressive.
Oh, it was
friendliness,
aggressive.
as in, I'll help you so that then you'll pay me later.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't look at maps, or if I did need to look at a map, I would kind of hide behind a corner, because otherwise there would be some guy who would come up. But this genuinely kind of friendliness and interest.
It's a true friendliness and a true, like a real kindness. There is real kindness in Taiwan that you can find in other countries, but I loved the Taiwanese culture, and the fact also that I was traveling and I was studying Chinese at that moment. So they also speak Chinese in Taiwan. So I was like, I was kind of showing off, like, yeah, I can speak your language, and they were like, oh, you can speak my language, and there was this thing in China where every time, so people all the time in China thought I was a Chinese guy. So they start to speak to me in Chinese. I try to respond, and then they realize I'm not Chinese. So they ask me, "Oh, where are you from? Are you Korean? Are you Japanese? Are you something else?" And I explain to them I am French. They bug. Their brain just stops, and then, okay. You don't look French.
You're like, oh wait, what? What?
you are not blonde. You doesn't have blue eyes. What's the matter? And it takes so long time. Every time you have to explain. So it's kind of for 1 year and a half. If you have to explain all the time, it starts to be annoying, if I can say that. But in Taiwan, I just explain. Yeah, I'm French, and they, oh, I love French. I love your culture and everything. It's like, yeah, I know. We have a good cheese there here.
Yeah.
So
it must have been hard having people constantly kind of doubt your identity, and the fact that they didn't have a category to understand that.
But they have a problem in China about, like, it's not the idea of expatriation. They don't have that. They don't know that Asian people can exist and live in USA and can be born also in USA or in Germany or in France. Like they don't know that.
Why do you think that there isn't that awareness? And why do you think people don't know about that in China?
I know the answer.
It's a longer one.
Yeah, but it's political.
Okay.
It's a political stuff. Like you know that in China, for the Chinese people who are listening, you are in the dictator. If you don't know that.
Well, now there's no way this is gonna get to China.
they can,
this is gonna be censored.
Yeah, maybe yes, maybe not. But and also that everything that's pass in information and in news, TV news, are controlled by government. Actually, so it's a real dictature and a real
dictatorship.
Which has its flaws and its assets.
Advantages.
That you are indeed in a dictature, but you feel so safe, so safe all the time. Like in France, in Paris, a girl who is going out of a club with a little bit too short skirt would be. It is really dangerous. Rather than in China, no issue, never any issue about that. So it's a comfort indeed, but also you have to be aware that it's also a dictator. Yeah,
I mean having a lot of state control, I guess it sounds like can prevent a lot of crime because the population is very controlled. At the same time, though, there's a lot of loss of freedom. But
it's I think it was like a philosophy test exam that the question the price of freedom actually. Is it good to have all the freedom in the world, and is it good if everyone has the freedom in the world? Like you are free, but you are so in danger all the time. What's a danger?
yeah, and then how much should the government kind of interfere in order to protect people's interests versus letting them.
Which way is the limits?
Yeah, and that's we have the political divide that we see in America.
We went so deep.
You're the one who brought up the philosophical question.
Yeah, I know, but
The
I don't know.
frequency
I thought
yeah.
it was really interesting.
Yeah, that's a question that needs to be considered.
So if you had one less, few things to say to all the people that you met during your full year of traveling, what would it be?
I think it'd be so hard to do like a group broadcast message, just because I think for me there are very specific things that I would want to say to each person, because the thing that traveling has shown me is really that you can't just make blanket generalizations across groups of people and say that, even though that's what we've been doing quite a lot in this past and during this conversation, but really it's that well, you can maybe talk in generalizations. It's really rare to meet somebody who actually you think who follows that. You know, everybody has their own different nuances, and so I had such different experiences with each person that I met during my travels. In a sort of general sense, I think I would like to convey the idea that that because of each of these interactions, because of the ways in which all these people have impacted and taught me in different things, that I think my trust in strangers has grown a lot. Travel has shown me that that people do want to help others and want to go towards people, and that has really, I think the world is more open than or the world that I've seen through traveling is more open than I think we can often paint when you hear kind of news stories, when it seems just like conflict is growing and growing and growing, and this is a world that is separating more and more and more. I think the individual interactions that I've had with people across cultures, across languages, across nations, has really restored my faith in the ability for individuals to want to connect with each other.
Ah, so good.
And I also need to recognize the fact that because I'm a white blonde woman who's from the U.S., I have a very, very privileged position when I travel. People want to talk to me because these things are associated with wealth, with there are a lot of positive associations that people have, and so that has permitted me to be able to easily cross boundaries and lines in ways that a lot of people do not have. And so I think when I talk about all my experiences, I really do have to recognize the identities that I hold and the ways in which those grant me a lot of access to a lot of people, a lot of interactions, a lot of places that aren't there for everybody.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Olivia.
Yeah, definitely.
That
Thanks
was
for
so
asking me.
good.
We'll see how it all turns out.
Don't worry, it will turn out
We'll
perfect.
see. Maybe it'll be more about your editing skills to take out all the dumb things I said.
No, it was perfect. Thank you for sharing this moment with me.
Yes, likewise. No, this is actually, when you had asked me, I was kind of like, oh, do I want dumb things that I say to be broadcast across the internet? And then I was like, you know what? It'll be a really good time to sit and reflect before I take off. And I like talking about traveling, and I like talking to people who like talking about traveling.
Yes. Yeah. We like talking about traveling. Okay, thank you very much. See you later. A big thank you to Olivia, who's accepted to talk about her great adventures with me in front of the mic. Thank you for spending your time with us. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon for other adventures. Bye guys!